Mid-October promises to be pretty good. We got a good mix of Marvel, DC, and independent comic books. Hey, all my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, I am your host, Mike Spider Slayer, always helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy, and today, guys, I am bringing you my top 10 most anticipated comic books for October 13th, 2021. Guys, it's never too early to start that pull list for next week, and hopefully, this list does help you make decisions of what comic books to buy. So, guys, hopefully you enjoy it, and before we get started, if you want to help support Comic Book Corner 2.0 and become a member of the channel, just go ahead and hit that join button right there on my home screen. Guys, like I said, it helps support the channel. It gives you, the viewers, a few extra perks. And guys, let's get started with this week's top 10 most anticipated, kicking it off with the hot seat. That's right, guys, the hot seat. It is the book that is on the verge of possibly being dropped, or maybe thinking about buying the issue, but then when I get to the shop, I might be like, nah, forget that. I'm just not gonna pick this one up. So what is it this week? Well, this week it goes to, once again, Miles Morales Spider-Man issue 31. Miles Morales Spider-Man is like all over the place for me. Like, I really want to like this book, and I say it every time it comes out, but really this is only interesting me because it actually has Taskmaster in it, right? So in the last issue, there was nothing super spectacular about it. It just showed Miles getting his new costume and, and doing things out on the street and things like that. It was fine, it was just a low-key filler issue. Now he's going on a date with Adrian Toomes' granddaughter, which is Starling, right? And it looks like that Taskmaster is going to go after him. He was hired to kill them, shoot them down, take them out for whatever reason. I guess both Miles and Tiana. So I don't know what to expect out of this comic book. Again, the only reason why I'm considering this story arc now is because it's Taskmaster. And this series, for me, always seems like it could be really good, and then when I read an issue, I'm always disappointed. I always get burned on it. So we'll see what happens with this one. So that's Miles Morales, issue 31, legacy numbering 271, 28 pages, $4. We go on to Transformers King Grimlock, issue 3. This book is on the rise this week. You know why? Because I've heard from multiple people that this story was actually really good. That this is the best Transformer book that's ever been made. And that's a pretty serious statement to make there. So when people are telling me to buy this and I should read it, then I might consider it. The only problem that I have with Transformers comic books is that when you get them, they're so full of dialogue about learning about the history of the Transformers and who everybody is, and there's so many characters, it just gets so overwhelming, right? So that's why I always have my reserve about it, but I might give this one a try, and hopefully issues 1 and 2 are actually on the rack so I can basically check this one out. So I'm interested to see what you guys think of Grimlock, the other people that haven't said too much about it, but this book might be considered a purchase this week. So if you're following it, it's a $4 price point, and I think it's 28 pages. Hey guys, so let's kick off this countdown officially this week with number 10, and number 10 goes to Batman Urban Legends issue 8. Now, I bought the last issue of Batman Urban Legends because it had Terry McGinnis in there. So when you look at it, it's like, oh, Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, like you gotta pick it up because we found out that we're gonna get a new story in the future from that, right? Now, this Urban Legends ties into Fear State. Way to go, DC Comics. You put in a Fear State tie-in that costs like $8, right? But this one has Batwoman Fear State. It also has Outsiders Fear State tie-in, and then it has a separate Azrael story and a Professor Pig story that has to deal with Halloween. So if you're into Fear State a lot and you want to find out what's going on with these tie-ins, I think you might want to pick this one up. And I think the Batwoman one is very important because I think it's going on, well, it has to do with what's going on with Oracle and the whole network and who's taking it over and stuff like that. So I think out of all the stories, that is the most important one if you read Batman Urban Legends. So this book is 64 pages, $8 price point. Speaking of the next Batman book, we move on to number 9, and this one goes to the Joker issue 8. Now, issue 6 and 5 were a little bit slower. Issue 7 had a lot more action in it, but it didn't progress the story all that much. But you got to see Alfred's daughter in there, which was kind of cool. And then you wind up getting to see the Talon in there go after the Batgirls like Barbara and Cassandra and Spoiler, which I thought was a pretty cool scene. The artwork is absolutely gorgeous in the series, so there's definitely some pluses, right? And then we get to see Commissioner Gordon get warned that he has to go back while he still can, and then we wind up seeing Bane's daughter show up at the end of the last issue. So it definitely has promise going forward. I just feel like that the story wasn't progressed all that much in the last issue. But I'm definitely looking forward to this one. When it comes to page count, it is 40 pages. It is $6 price point because you have that punchline backup story there. So go ahead, check that one out if you're still into the Joker. So coming in at number 8, another DC book. This one goes to Justice League, The Last Ride, issue 6. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the final issue, guys, when it comes to this one. And it's been pretty cool when it's come to our Justice League's supposed last mission. We got an invasion of Darkseid in the last issue, and I think he took over the Green Lantern's lantern, and I think he destroyed it, if I remember correctly, and we wind up seeing, obviously, John wind up passing away, and he sacrificed himself, and they blame Batman, and they're trying to stop, protect Lobo from Darkseid. Earth is in the crosshairs as well. Dude, there's all kinds of stuff going on in this book. But the great thing about this book is that Chip Zdarsky's writing it, and it shows that he can write a really good Justice League, and I would love to see him on a Justice League book on a regular basis. Unfortunately, you're not going to see that, and you're still getting Brian Michael Bendis on the regular Justice League book, so you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, right? So check it out. This is Justice League, The Last Ride, issue 6. I think this is the conclusion. We're at 32 pages with this one, and this one is $4. So next, we move forward to number 7. And number 7's another DC comic book, and this one goes to Titans United issue 2. So I feel like this is geared more towards the Titans TV series that's on DC streaming service, and or HBO Max, I should say, and because it's got like Hawk and Dove in it, and it's got like Red Hood in it, so I think it's geared more towards that. And the first issue was kind of interesting as we get to see Superboy's powers being tapped into because he's losing his powers and whatnot, and we're getting to see random people gain his powers or other powers, and it feels like though that a lot of the characters seem a little bit edgy or pissed off in this series, so maybe that's why not only do I feel character-wise it's driven towards the Titans TV series and not the comic series so much, because again, they're all edgy and a little darker, or is that the powers that are being taken away from the metahumans, right, affecting their personalities? I don't know, but this was a pretty fun read, that first issue, so I'm looking forward to reading the second one. So this one is 32 pages, $4. Move on. Let's go on to number 6. And number 6 most anticipated book this week goes to May's book, issue 2. This one was done by Jeff Lemire, and I love this first issue. At first, it was like very depressing type of storytelling, right? It was about this guy who lost his daughter that loves all these puzzles, and he forgets what she's like, and he says that one of the first things you forget to realize is, like, you know, you remember is their voice. That's the first thing to go. Then the face starts to go, and you know, he just goes to his 9-to-5 job. He's like an architect and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden one night, I think it was like 3:15 in the morning, he gets a phone call, and it claims to be his daughter, and she's lost somewhere. So now he's going to have to try to find the clues and find his daughter, if that is the case, right? Great story, man. It left you with a wonderful cliffhanger, and I'm like, shit, dude, I gotta definitely check out this next issue. So May's book issue 2 is coming out. It's 32 pages. It's $6. You're gonna want to check this out if you haven't yet. Real pricey though, right? Coming in at number 5, now we have Dead Box. This is issue 2, and guys, the first issue was amazing, right? It's just this story about this box, like a red box that rents DVD movies, that spits out these movies that's going on in these people's lives, right? So in the last issue, you had this girl who was working at this convenience store, and she had the choice to either go to college or actually stay back and take care of her dying father. And she decided to stay home and take care of her dying father. And when she had nothing to do, she actually rented this DVD from this Dead Box. And again, she's watching what basically could happen to her life in the future if she decides to go on this current path. So this Dead Box really knows more about the people in this town than the people know about themselves, and it's so awesome, man. I love the first issue. Can't wait for the second issue here. And this one's 32 pages, $4. Really looking forward to it. And let's move on to number 4. Number 4 goes to X-Men issue 4, the first Marvel book, I think, in this top 10 list. And this one is called Fearless Chapter 4. So this is like a Halloween related issue, right? The description here says, heads up, it's Halloween and X-Men have to face a horror born of a neighboring town in Westchester, the Headless Horseman. And that's not the only terror targeting them. So obviously, if you've read this book so far, we've gotten to see multiple enemies going or are going to be going against our X-Men in the future, which I think is actually pretty cool. And you see this one guy that wants to travel to Mars, and the X-Men took it from him. You want to see this other guy where he wants to resurrect human beings, you know, the science and the technology behind it, but the X-Men took it from him. You got this gambler that's out in space that sits there and sends things to Earth and gambles if they're going to win or lose, and the X-Men always win. So there's like 3 enemies already in this young series, and you just see glimpses of them and what's happening. And also, the dude that has this whole resurrection process that came up with it before the X-Men did, proved that the X-Men have already been doing it, and that the X-Men have been dying and resurrecting themselves for a long time. And who wound up getting that information? Well, it was Ben Ulrich from the Daily Bugle. So is he going to publish that story? So there's a lot of interesting tidbits going on in X-Men. Still don't know what direction it's kind of going in, but I really do like the team, and I love the action. It feels more like an X-Men book of old instead of dealing always with Krakoa, and I definitely recommend this book. It's 28 pages and it's $4. We move on to number 3, and number 3 goes to Kang the Conqueror. This is issue 3. This book is really good if you want to learn about the character of Kang, his history, where he came from. It's like a history lesson in itself, right? And for me, it's perfect. That's why this is so high on my list this week, because I want to know all these stories. And in this issue, it seems like he has to do a battle with the Avengers. He's going to have to go against Doctor Doom, and he's going to have to fight against himself, which seems to be like a lot of fun as well. So it's going to be Kang versus Doom, and the future of the universe is on the line. Dude, that's so sweet, right? I can't wait to read this book. The last page of the last issue was awesome, as he is making a deal with Apocalypse. So really cool. Again, like I said, 28 pages, $4. We move on to number 2, and for the first time in a little while, the series is not my number 1 most anticipated because it keeps letting me down. So I'm like, well, why can't it? It's not going to be my number 1 this time. And it says in its Amazing Spider-Man issue 76, the unthinkable has happened. And this scares me. Zeb Wells and Patrick Gleason will remind you why you love and hate comics. So something's going to happen in this, I think, because on the cover here, we've seen this cover a while now where Mary Jane is beside herself and there's a Peter Parker in which looks like could be his deathbed, right? And at the end of issue 74, it didn't look like anything was going to happen to Peter. Like, he was fine. Like, yeah, building collapse on him. Oh, Mary Jane just pulls him out of the rubble. Okay, we're fine. We're swinging together and we're kissing each other. So it doesn't look like anything's happening to him, right? So maybe in issue 76, they revisit that and maybe the injuries get the best of him and he gets broken down. Like, I don't know what to expect. But there's something here that's going to make us love and hate. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed where it doesn't totally piss me off, right? If you're following the legacy numbering, it's legacy numbering 877, 28 pages, $4. So what is the number 1 most anticipated comic of the week? And it feels like it's been a while since we had an issue, but this is the conclusion to the Immortal Hulk. This is issue 50, guys. This is it. This is done. Can you remember when that first issue came out? And how this series really blew up in the first 25 issues. I mean, you could not touch this series. All these books were specs. It was insane how popular this book was. And I felt like this book really put Al Ewing on the map, right? So this is the giant size finale. This is where the Hulk goes down into the below place and he searches all his ghosts from the past and tries to get all his questions answers. And obviously, it's got to answer our questions as well as we go through like the Green Door and all that other stuff. What is going to happen to Hulk after all this? Because we know where it's going from here, right? Donny Cates is taking over the Hulk character, but looks like he's going in a completely different direction. So I don't know. We'll see. I am excited for it. It's the final issue, and if you're following that legacy numbering, it's 767, 92 big-ass pages of book, and it's a $10 price tag. So guys, there you have it. There are my top 10 most anticipated comics for October, what did I say? 13th, 2021. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications from me. And guys, if you like the content, please watch more because I'm going to leave you right here and you'll have fun with it, right? So of course, guys, as always, please keep buying, keep collecting, and most importantly, keep reading those comic books. And until that next video, I'll see you real soon and enjoy your day. Take care, guys. Bye.